Hello, everybody. It's Bridget back again from It's Your Time channel. I hope that this message finds you guys well, enjoying your summer. I'm enjoying mine out here in the sun, but out of the sun, under the canopy. I actually do have my sunscreen on from our last couple of episodes about how we protect ourselves and hydrate, in the summer. I just want to remind myself in the beginning of the recording, just to help myself, because I forget so many times. If you find this episode or anything that you've seen in the past on my channel to be beneficial or helpful, please like, share, and subscribe, because I really want to make sure that I'm getting out there and helping as many people as possible. I also want to give a big up to my editing man, John Winters. He is fabulous. He makes everything effortless for me. All I have to do is sit down in front of the camera and talk, and he does all the good things, the music, the different slides and little pictures and the drama. So I love him. He is fabulous. And hopefully, if he feels led, he'll drop his information in the comments below. So if you need help with your editing or anything, he's computer photographer extraordinaire. He does my photo shoots. Just can't say enough good things about him. Today, I do want to talk about and want to speak a little bit to our nurses and caregivers in general. I find that through the years of nursing and being in the profession, but also people knowing that you're a nurse, there is a lot of responsibility that comes with that. Um, there is a pledge, an oath that we take when we get sworn in as healthcare professionals, as nurses. I know doctors have the same things about, what your purpose is and your call to help. At lots of costs. And when I mean lots of costs, like, the Good Samaritan law protects us, from things that some people think, well, if you see accidents on the side of the road, do you have to respond? Things like that. And no, you don't have to, but there are laws in place. And one of them being the Good Samaritan law, that if you do feel, led to stop and make sure, and it's real hard as someone who cares for people to walk by or drive by something and not want to stop and just offer help, just to make sure that everything is okay, before driving on or carrying on with your day, even when your plate is full, even when you've got things going on yourself. Usually that tug comes and you're like, oh God. Even if you go past it, you'll find yourself circling around, going back, just making sure that the paramedics get there. Is everything okay? Even if you just stop by and say, hey, you need help, you need me to call anybody, it's just so you can assess the situation and be able to drop in wherever, the need is. And with that comes, people know that you're a nurse in your neighborhood, your friends, your family, and it is something that is an honor. It's an honor to be able to reach out and to have the knowledge that will really help people when you're clocked in or you're clocked out, right? It's a great thing. But I think we also have to remember to, uh, how would I say it? Uh, get the most bang out of our buck when we're passing on information. When you're giving someone something, if they say, I cut myself, that's an easy fix. This is what you need to do. You clean it, you apply pressure, you got gauze, you got band-aids, things like that. But share your knowledge, share, if someone's having, a hypoglycemic episode or hyperglycemic episode, drop a little nugget, like what's going on with your diet, make sure that you're getting in, um, good proteins, even if you have a moment, if they ask you, you have an open audience right then when they're asking you for advice, you can share something. I find that diabetic people, especially people that are struggling, and young people, it's like usually the young people and the older people, because food is something that you cannot do without, right? You have to eat. It's not like we can say we're just going to stop, taking in food. We're going to control our blood sugar because we're going to stop doing it. Not like, alcohol or drugs, that is something that you can, make a choice and say you're not going to do. So I take that opportunity to talk with a diabetic patient. And, I say, what does your plate look like? You're having these problems controlling your blood sugar. First, are you taking your medication the way you're supposed to, the way it's ordered? one time a day, two times a day? Are you checking your blood sugars like you're supposed to? It's so easy to fall into, patterns of just getting up and doing what you think you should do and not taking the extra time. But, we're told, and our patients are told, to monitor their blood sugar for a reason. We need to see where they are every day, and also trends to help them better adjust their diet, their exercise, their medications. So it's good to be able to remind them, are you checking your blood sugar once a day at least, or however many ever times they're supposed to do if they're taking insulin and things like that. Make that your take time to make that your opportunity to, are you doing that? It's really important that you do that. We can really take care of you a lot better. We can really help you a lot better in the realm of the whole picture of the patient when we know what's been going on for, at the beginning of the week, through the last month or two, what's happening this day. If you had some high blood sugars, on a certain day, a certain week, what were you doing? Were you under stress? Were you sick? Because when you're sick, your blood sugars will spike. Your body will send off more cortisol when you're sick, an inflammatory process when you're sick, whether it's cold, flu, or or anything. Could be under a stressful situation, heart attack, blood pressure rise. It skyrockets your cortisol, and that turns into glucose, and that will elevate your glucose, and you'll see that in the trends of your blood sugar monitoring as well. And then ask them, what does your plate look like? Your plate should be, um, fresh fruits and vegetables. Try your best. If you can't, frozen is the next best thing, and then canned if you have to. Some people are on a budget, but making sure that half of that plate is a healthy protein. The other half, I shouldn't say other half, the other quarter would be, maybe a carbohydrate, if they're someone that can do that. Not all diabetics can do carbohydrates, but sticking with the most natural of carbohydrates, a sweet potato, a white yam, brown rice. Black rice is super good. It's super high in iron and antioxidants, and it's also good for your heart. And the other quarter, making sure that's, a vegetable, a good vegetable, some steamed broccoli, a salad, some asparagus, some Brussels sprouts. It's green. Get as much green in as you possibly can. So I know for me, it's been for years. People call, they text, they knock on the door, they'll ring the doorbell, and to ask that question about, what do you think? Should I go to the doctor? Is this right what the doctor's telling me? I'm on this medication, and I've been feeling this way. Have you had experience with this medication or the side effects and things like that? And I am honored. I am honored to be able to be that person. And I always ask every day, God, what do you want me to do? Who do you want me to help, so that I have that in the back of my mind already, of what I can share, and to make the most of those minutes count. When you have that audience, when they ask you for that help, you can't go around preaching to people and tell them how to take care of themselves. But when they ask you, you definitely can share um, all that you've learned, and the plethora, the rich, the abundant encyclopedia type of life that you have as a healthcare professional. So I hope that helps somebody. I hope that that I am there for you, hoping and praying for you, that whatever you're finding yourself doing in this time of your life, that you are making choices that are good for you. It's your time, it's your life, and only you can make those choices. Only you can stand up for yourself and do the things that need to be done, because we only live once. We only have one life. Let's live it, and live it to the full. All right. Bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. See you the next time.